Coming up on UCF Nightly News. A recent increase in burglaries near UCF is affecting some students. See what safety measures they're taking.
And an AP African Studies course has been blocked by the Florida Department of Education. See what this means for the state.
Plus, a prestigious award in sciences will show you two professors who have made major strides in their industry.
In sports, a new law has been passed by the Senate impacting student athletes. We'll show you reactions from international student athletes.
Nightly News starts now. Good afternoon and welcome to Nightly News. I'm Terry Gilliam Jr.
And I'm Kennedy Collins. Today is Friday, February 17th, 2023.
A number of residential break-ins continue to rise in the UCF community and surrounding counties. Nightly News reporter Jackie Cardente spoke to a student who says she worries about what steps to take after this recent uptick.
Erica Needle is a UCF student who's been living in Orlando for 5 years. She says she's always felt safe in the city until recently.
I thought I was as safe as can be. You had the key card and the pin to get into your dorms and stuff. But then recently there's been the burglaries, the car burglaries on campus and off campus. And if anyone can get into a car, they can get into a house door.
For Needle, recent incidents like the death of Mia Marcano and the murder of 4 University of Idaho students have really hit close to home.
I am pretty much in the same living situation as those kids were. And it kind of just opens my eyes to tell me that no matter where I am, no matter where I feel safest, I'm never truly fully safe.
Needle says she's now taking preventative measures. However, Orange County reports that up to 5 miles from UCF, there were a total of 33 home break-ins and 127 auto thefts last year. According to crimegrade.org, 1 in 28 people right here in Orange County experience some sort of property crime. This especially applies to people who can't afford high-tech security. UCF's police department urges students to use their variety of resources. UCF PD Sergeant Matthew Scott says that no matter where you're located, they'll always be there to help.
Because we're not just going to leave someone stranded saying, hey, that's not our jurisdiction, bye, right? We want to make sure that person gets the help that they're looking for. And at the same time, too, the fact that you're a UCF student, know that you can still count on the UCF Police Department, even though the crime didn't happen in our jurisdiction.
In Orlando, Jackie Cardente, UCF Nightly News.
You can always report any issues through UCF PD's hotline at 407-823-5555.
A month ago, the Florida Department of Education blocked the College Board's pilot program of AP African Studies courses in high schools. Nightly News reporter Maitane Aru shows us how this is affecting the state of Florida.
The Florida Department of Education has decided to not approve AP African History courses. Education Commissioner for Florida, Manny Diaz, tweeted the concerns the board has, which include Black queer studies and critical race theory, which go against the Stop Woke Act and Don't Say Gay bill that Governor Ron DeSantis passed last year. UCF sociology professor Jonathan Cox explains the importance of teaching this course.
Not giving students the option to take the African American AP course, I think limits the opportunity for students to have a better understanding of U.S. history.
After the decision was made, 3 Florida AP students represented by Ben Crump, who also represented the Floyd family after his death, are suing Florida. Aubrey Jewett, who is a political science professor, says he doesn't think they will have much ground to win the case.
It seems more likely that the state will prevail. There's a couple things going on. First will be the legal arguments. Also, unfortunately, it's going to matter who is the judge in this case.
UCF has an African Studies department that showcased the importance of African history being taught. I'm here at Trevor Colburn Hall where the UCF African Studies department is located, but UCF has said nothing about this ongoing controversial issue.
Yeah, I would say this particular issue, because it is not a higher education issue, I don't think you have or will see a lot of conversation from the university regarding this. But
after controversy in Florida, College Board seemed to have changed its curriculum. They are missing several topics and voices of Black scholars that they had in the pilot. After seeing criticism of the missing points, College Board put out a statement saying, "We deeply regret not immediately denouncing the Florida Department of Education's slander magnified by the DeSantis administration." In Orlando, Florida, Maitana Rue, Nightly News.
Governor DeSantis is now debating banning all AP courses at high schools in Florida after College Board statements.
2 UCF professors were inducted as fellows into one of the most prestigious scientific organizations in the world. Nightly News reporter Kayla Ayala introduces us to them.
American Association for the Advancement of Science is the largest scientific society in the world and a leading publisher of research. Fellows are elected annually from 12 different areas of science and engineering related fields. Past fellows include inventor Thomas Edison and astronaut Ellen Ochoa. Dr. Peter Delphia is a Pegasus professor from the College of Optics and Photonics. He spent years of his research improving the functionality and speed of light from semiconductor lasers, making them work at unprecedented levels. Delphia says receiving this honor would not be possible without ongoing support from UCF.
I've only been able to achieve this level of recognition due to the support I've had from the UCF administration, from the excellent quality of students that I have, and of course the wonderful staff and my colleagues, the other faculty that are around me, that creates this environment that enabled me to be the best that I can be.
Using this technology, you can transmit millions of Netflix channels per second in a glass fiber as thin as a human hair.
Dr. Ronald Damara is a Pegasus professor in the College of Engineering and Computer Science. His research focuses on computer hardware design with an emphasis on reliability, and he has developed new techniques for the use of reconfigurable hardware.
I was humbled and pleased and surprised to receive this honor. I know it is very prestigious, and the first thing that came to mind was all my UCF collaborations over the years.
Fellows receive a certificate in a gold and blue rosette pin to represent science and engineering. They will also be celebrated in Washington, D.C. this summer. In Orlando, Kayla Ayala, UCF Nightly News.
To learn more about AAAS, you can visit their website at AAAS.org.
The Argentinian Student Association had its first meeting as an official RSO this Wednesday. The meeting started with some Argentinian music, and the board members were wearing the classic Argentina soccer jersey. As members started coming in, they began the meeting introducing themselves and explaining their position. They later moved on to icebreakers, where they got members to interact with each other and get closer as a group.
One UCF researcher has made it her mission to preserve Native American history in St. Augustine. Nightly News reporter Caitlin Simpson explains the historical project that this researcher helped start.
St. Augustine is the nation's oldest city and within its borders holds some of the deepest points of American history. Dr. Amy Larner-Giroux is a researcher at UCF who discovered 2 headstones in St. Augustine engraved with the words 6 unknown Indians.
It bothers me when I find headstones that say unknown. Those people had names. They deserve to have their names back.
The 2 graves hold the remains of 12 Plains Native Americans who died in the 1870s after being captured as prisoners of war.
And during the time frame that they were in St. Augustine, 9 of them passed away from various diseases and were buried in St. Augustine National Cemetery.
Noreen Starr, a member of the Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes in Oklahoma, said 2 of her ancestors were among the prisoners.
Both of Noreen Starr's ancestors were imprisoned and later died here at Fort Castillo de San Marco in St. Augustine in 1875.
We grieved, and we didn't understand why there still wasn't anything there to acknowledge their being, and
Wanting to preserve the legacy of her ancestors, Chief Heap Birds and Big Moccasin, Noreen began a project to ensure they would not be lost in history.
Because we have to educate, not just our people, but we have to educate everybody.
Stephen Roberts is the Director of Education, Interpretation, and Visitor Service at the fort. He says he wants to help preserve the Native American history within St. Augustine.
They are the experts. Their knowledge of their traditions, of their history, and the impacts of this place on them is really something that is important to share with our visitors.
The fort will continue to work with Dr. Giroux and the tribes to update their exhibit to include the generational trauma associated with the fort. In Orlando, Caitlin Simpson, UCF Nightly News.
As Giroux continues to identify the remaining 3 Native Americans in the graves, she will work to replace the gravestones to include the names of those already identified, a process that may take months. Nightly News meteorologist Mia Striegel joins us now at the desk.
So Mia, the last few days have been absolutely beautiful. How do you think these temperatures will hold up?
So I hope you have all been enjoying this nice weather. We have some gorgeous conditions out there this afternoon. It's partly cloudy with some warm temperatures.
Coming up, making deadly waves, see which local beach was named the deadliest in the United States.
Plus, a study done by a UCF researcher is identifying key climate change impacts. See how this relates to the future of our internet.
UCF's CAPS gives an update on how their services help students during and after the hurricane. Whether it was being trapped inside their homes without power or losing their place of residence, UCF students were impacted by Hurricane Ian. The university offered limited services to those who were displaced from their homes, including mental health services. Students received an email from UCF's Counseling and Psychological Services offering group and one-on-one sessions. Dr. Ellen Copel says some students found the resource helpful.
The Sunshine State is known for its beautiful beaches. However, a new report shows that Florida is also home to some of the most deadliest beaches in the nation. Nightly News reporter Nicole Osorio went to one of those beaches to find out why it's so dangerous.
We have the most shark attacks being the shark bite capital of the world.
These are the words of Tiffany Dixon, a New Smyrna Beach resident of 18 years. What Dixon said is not that far from reality. A few weeks ago, Travel Lens, an online publication, used data from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration to release a ranking of the top 10 deadliest beaches in the nation. New Smyrna Beach was ranked number 1. According to the report, there have been 32 shark attacks since 2010, more than any other U.S. beach.
We just had a shark bite 2 weeks ago down at the jetties where all the surfers hang out. That's where all the sharks hang out.
New Smyrna is not the only Florida beach in these rankings. 6 others made it to the top 10 of the deadliest beaches in the nation. But what makes Florida's water so dangerous? Well, it is a combination of shark attacks, surf zone fatalities, and hurricanes. The report also named Coco, Ormond, and Panama City beaches to round out the top 4. Matthew Larson, an instructor of marine biology at UCF, explains why Florida has multiple beaches on this list.
Florida is very much a peninsular state. There's a lot of beachfront available for people to use. So between the number of people being in the water and then the fact that Florida itself is in a tropical temperate location, there are more sharks that are present.
Despite this ranking, Florida beaches continue to be a popular destination, according to U.S. News and World Report. In New Smyrna Beach, Nicole Osorio, UCF Knightly News.
The American Red Cross recommends beachgoers to follow safety instructions, check weather and surf zone forecast, and never swim alone.
A new global study conducted by the UK's National Oceanography Centre recognizes global hotspots that could impact the internet. More than 10,000 miles of fiber optic cables run under the oceans. These subsea cables account for more than 95% of all digital traffic worldwide. Co-author and UCF Associate Professor Dr. Thomas Wall says these cables could be in danger.
If the sea ice is melting due to climate change, we probably see more anchoring and more bottom fishing in places where we are not seeing it right now, again increasing the risk of these cables being impacted.
Cables carry important telecommunication information that link North and South America with the Caribbean. The researchers stress the need for a new path for those cables that would move them out of these hotspots.
Coming up after the break, we check in with our friends at Embry-Riddle to see what temperatures are looking across the nation.
I'd look on how the UCF baseball team is stepping up to the plate to start the season off with a full swing.
Say, Kennedy, have you been enjoying this nice weather? The sunny skies and warm temperatures makes me feel like spring is on the way.
I have been enjoying the weather. Let's go to Nightly News reporter Mia Striegel with this week's forecast.
Thanks, Mia.
Now let's check in with our partners at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. Meteorology major Andrew Larson shows us what's happening across the nation.
Main story across our nation the last couple days, a cold front has pushed its way through now on the Atlantic side over top of Florida here. Last couple of days, it brought some severe storms over in Mississippi and Tennessee. But as that cold front did move out towards the Atlantic, it definitely lost a lot of its moisture, and we can only see maybe a couple showers here on Friday afternoon. But as that cold front now pushes out towards the Atlantic, it's going to bring that high pressure system with it, and definitely going to stabilize the atmosphere a little bit, but it is going to be keeping those cold temperatures. Nationwide temperatures are showing super low on Saturday. Saturday morning, a lot of the stations are reporting below freezing temperatures. But this won't last for too long, so if you're not a big fan of the cold, Sunday and Saturday afternoon, temperatures will be gaining back up to what they were before Saturday and before that cold front came in. Temperatures over in Oklahoma City, 72 degrees, and they should stay there. So if you're not a fan of the cold weather, the hot weather is going to stay.
Coming up after the break, baseball season is underway. We get a preview into how the Knights are preparing to make a comeback.
Plus, a new bill is currently in the Florida legislature and will allow Florida universities to help with brand deals for college athletes. One student athlete told us that this new law won't apply to him.
Good afternoon, Knights. I'm Kayla Lewis, and this is your weekly nightly news sports update. The Florida Senate voted to repeal the name, image, and likeness law to allow Florida universities to get involved in deals. Our anchor, Terry Gilliam Jr., got the chance to speak with one UCF athlete who says this rule doesn't benefit him.
Luis Carrera, an international student athlete from Mexico, is part of UCF's golf team. He recently finished runner-up at the Latin America Amateur Championship in early January. You at home may think that Carrera, being a talented college athlete, would have an NIL brand deal, but that's not the case.
You're in a student visa. You're not allowed to
be employed outside of campus. So the only jobs that you can get, it's like, I don't know, tutoring.
Recently, Florida moved closer to effectively repealing its name, image, and likeness law in a special session led by state legislators. The purpose of the session was to allow Florida universities to help facilitate deals for student athletes. But international players like Carrera still won't see a change in their situation. According to FrontOfficeSports.com, more than 20,000 international athletes like Luis Carrera are being locked out of the billion-dollar NIL industry due to restrictive U.S. visa laws. Brands can't sign them, and NIL collectives can't offer them the same deals as American citizens. UCF men's golf coach believes that NIL will begin to filter through all of the programs in hopes that international players will have the same opportunity as other players to capitalize.
I know they're looking at it from an employment status, but if it becomes the nature as part of this business, my hope is that everyone would benefit equally.
So far, advocates have attempted to persuade lawmakers in U.S. citizenship and immigration services to amend existing visa restrictions, but it's been said that the process could take years. In Orlando, Terry Gilliam Jr., UCF Nightly News.
The bill passed Florida House of Representatives and the Senate without a single vote opposing it. It now needs one more signature by Governor DeSantis before becoming a state law. The UCF baseball team saw a lot of injuries to some of their best players during the 2022 season. I'll tell you more about how they're gearing up to hit the field healthy this year. The UCF baseball team is heading into their last season in the American Athletic Conference as they look towards entering the Big 12 next season.
The team went 35-25 in 2022, but the Knights are focusing on improving that record this season. After an unfortunate number of injuries last year, the team is starting out a lot healthier to open their 2023 season. Head coach Greg Lovelady believes they're in a good position to get off to a good start.
I just think that you just feel a little bit more confident, a little bit more mature, a little bit more experienced than we did this time last year, but definitely a lot more healthy.
Senior catcher Ben McCabe will make his return behind the plate after having Tommy John surgery. He is looking forward to competing this season, which marks his last year of eligibility.
I spent a lot of time, a lot of hours doing my arm care stuff and a lot of mobility and stuff just so I'm able to get back out there and play with my boys.
Along with McCabe's return comes new faces on the roster, including 8 freshmen and 9 transfers. Lovelady said that so far his biggest focus with these new players has been getting them acclimated, which the older guys have helped with.
I feel like our guys do a good job of making sure that everyone feels welcome and being able to kind of build that relationships that I think you need in order to have the best team that you possibly can.
Lovelady isn't focusing on the move to the Big 12 yet. His only focus right now is their series that will kick off their season.
The Knights kick off their season at home tonight against Siena at 6 p.m.
Us.
And as always, if you have a story idea that you'd like to hear from us, always reach out at UCFNightlyNews.com. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.